Wales is a Celtic country. Brittany in France is a Celtic region. Cornwall in England is a Celtic region. Galicia in Spain is a Celtic region. What do you notice about all that? Galicia, Brittany, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. What have they got in common physically? Physically.
They're teeny.
Pardon?
They're teeny.
They're small. That's good. They're small. They're small countries, all of them. Although Ireland is 2/3 the size of England, believe it or not, even though we have a population of 5 million altogether, and England has a population without Scotland or Wales of about 50-something million. So there are 10 people in this place for every one in Ireland, but Ireland, without, if you take away Scotland and Wales, Ireland is 2/3 the size of the island of England. So, not so small. Not as big as France though, but England is much tinier than France, much tinier. I think you must be 3 times the size of England. France, twice or 3 times in physical size. So no, come on, she noticed something good. They're small places. What else do you notice? Think of them. Brittany, Galicia, Wales, Ireland.
They're connected.
Pardon?
They're connected.
No, they're not connected.
There's
Yes, they're at the extremes. They're at all the remote places. Cornwall down here, Brittany over here, Galicia northwest of Spain, and Scotland up there in the nowhere land. Because the Celts lived everywhere here, but they were pushed and pushed. They're the old people who lived in the whole place once. But they were pushed out to the extremes by the new Anglo-Saxons, Germanic peoples, the Tudor people, the Franks, pushed them out, the new civilizations, and they only survived in the extremes. So on the western seaboard. Now, the reason I take you to show you this place is I'm very, very proud of this place because this is the great museum of the world. True? Apart from the Louvre and the Met, I would say it ranks equally. That remember that the Louvre is a great museum, but in order to properly compare the British Museum with the Louvre, you honestly would have to put the British Museum and the National Gallery together, because the Louvre contains the art collection and the museum collection. Here we have just the museum collection, no paintings, no Picassos, and in the National Gallery you're one of the finest art collections in the world. So if you put the two together, it's a good competition with the Louvre or the Hermitage. So, it's a great museum. It has millions of exhibits. It has 6 million people visiting every year. 6 million people. The most visited place in the United Kingdom is right here. You can see, everybody's here. They come to see Ginger. Now, why am I so proud of this little corner?
because you come from Ireland.
Have you seen how many Egyptian artifacts are here? Have you seen? We've just passed through. Have you seen how many Iranian artifacts there are here from ancient Iran? Did you notice that? Oh, we passed through the halls. If you go downstairs, you will see whole halls of Egyptian things. But for Ireland, there's one little corner. One little corner. Why is that? Is it that Ireland is not important? Why am I so happy about this?
Because it exists a place.
I love it because it's so small. No, because all the great Irish artifacts are in Ireland. They're not here, they're in Ireland, in a big museum. Not as big as this, but all the great things made by angels are not here. Just as the Greeks are trying to get their artifacts back now, the Elgin marbles. I think it's wonderful that there are great collections here at the British Museum from all over the world. Personally, I think it's great that these things are here, as long as the museum is open and free to the world. But Ireland, you see, was part of the United Kingdom, so they didn't take things from us because we were also part of the United Kingdom until 100 years ago. For 800 years, we were part of the United Kingdom, so all the treasures were kept in the second capital, Dublin. They didn't have to be brought to England because we were not like some foreigners, we were part of these islands. We're always part of these islands, though we love to fight with each other, and though we play rugby very well. But of course we're a family of peoples. But the lovely thing is that at that time we kept all our artifacts in Ireland because the English were there too. And now, when you go to see the great Celtic collection of the world, you go to the great Celtic country of the world. You don't come to this country. So that makes me very proud and very happy. That's how it should be. Now, to be honest, I think when we look at what's happening in Syria now, and in Iran and Iraq, where they're destroying all these things, ISIS is right now, now I'm happy that things are here in a quiet city, protected for the people of the world, paid for by the British taxpayer, who maintain them and look after them. And how many people work at the British Museum, would you say? I worked here for 2 years. It was a great privilege.
800.
Now, when I worked here, I can't tell you today, but when I worked here, there were 2,500 people working here. And most of them you will never see. Why? They're not dead.
They're working by night.
They're in the laboratories, they're the curators, they're the technicians. Even in Ireland, when something gets damaged, my beautiful cathedral of my town was burned to the ground 5 years ago on Christmas Day. After the Christmas Mass, the most beautiful cathedral in Ireland was burned entirely to the ground. 5 years later, it was restored perfectly, the largest restoration project in Europe for 5 years, and they restored this neoclassical building magnificently, I'm proud to say. But many of the artifacts, like things like this, precious ancient things, were destroyed. They sent them where? Here. They all came here. And they were all repaired and restored here at the British Museum, and then brought back again to the Cathedral of St. Mel in Ireland. Unfortunately, the oldest and most beautiful thing, because the museum was in the cathedral. You know, like France, you have the cathedral and then maybe the museum with the precious things in the same building. Unfortunately, the most precious thing in the whole cathedral was the crozier of St. Mel, who founded the diocese. One of these, he founded the diocese in about the year 470. It was that old. And it had been a wooden crozier that was covered like this with gold and jewels, and every new bishop was given this just for one day. The new bishop would be given this for the crozier of the first man from 1500 years before. After that, it was put back in the museum. But when the new bishop was being made bishop, they took this out and he held it for just that day. And that, unfortunately, was totally destroyed, which was very sad, very sad. But everything else survived. And funny things survived that you would imagine very fragile things survived. So, this is what I'm proud of. I'm proud of the British Museum, and this is the end of our tour. It's an amazing institution, and I'm most proud that it's free. It wasn't always free, but it became free, like all of the other museums in London, at the millennium. It was a gift of the British people to the rest of the world. All the museums became free in the year 2000. Just like you lit up the Eiffel Tower, and that year you started to light the Eiffel Tower. You know, it sparkles at night? That was again for the millennium, and you still do it every night. Now here, what they did was they gave the museums free to everybody. I think that was a beautiful way to celebrate 2,000 years of humanity, of Christianity, to open the museums for free, and they're still free. Even though this museum costs at least 20 million from the taxpayer each year, at least, to maintain. But the taxpayer pays it, the British people pay it, so that these treasures of the world, which they only hold and mind and take care of, are shared with everyone. I like that, I like that. So there ends our tour in the Irish section, the tiny Irish section. And I think we should end as I began, with the final verse this time. And it's a little bit softer because we're in a quiet place. It's suitable for this one. Hearts. Now listen to the words because they're very precious, especially when we're talking about the French. Hearts of steel and heads unbowing, even when they knock up to bastardo. Hearts of steel and heads unbowing, vowing never to be broken. We will fight until we can fight no more. For the 4 proud provinces of Ireland, Ireland, together standing tall, shoulder to shoulder, we'll answer Ireland's call. There we go.